In this video, we're going to look at how to create our first class definition with Python. Now, as an example of what to create, we're going to work on creating a dice because a dice is a pretty simple concept. It has just a few methods that we'll need to implement, but it lets us get a good idea of the concepts behind object-oriented programming. Now, one of the things that we'll need to do is have it randomly choose one of the dice sides. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import random. Then we need to define our class name. To do so, we'll specify class and then our class name. And then just as if we were using a loop or an if statement or a function, we'll put a colon at the end. You notice a standard convention in most programming languages is that the class name is going to start with a capital letter. So I have class dice, and then following Python convention, everything that's going to be inside of our class will be indented. Once we've defined our class, we'll need to start defining our methods. The very first method we're going to need to define is what's known as our constructor. A constructor is what it's called when we create a brand new object from our class. Python has a special name for us. It's init. It just as when we define any other function. And since a method is a function within a class, we're going to specify def so we can define our function. We'll do 2 underscores, init, and 2 underscores. And our parameter list will have as a minimum self. Anytime we deal with a method inside of a class definition, we're going to specify self. And that's so we can talk to our own object. We'll indent one more time, and anything inside the second indent will be related to our init method. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use that self property. I'm going to say self.value. Now you might say, well, where is value? Well, value is one of the attributes of my class. You say, but it's not defined anywhere. You don't have to define anywhere. You just have to start using it as you would with any other variable in Python. The fact that it's part of the class is the reason why I can say self.dot. So self.value equals, and then we called random.randint. This is just going to pick a random number between 1 and 6 for us. This is like what happens if I pull the dice out of a game box or something like that, and a dice comes out, I get a value between 1 and 6. Now I'm going to need to create my other methods for my class. And these are going to be pretty simple and straightforward. First, I need to define another method. And this is going to be a roll method. Notice I don't have to put the underscores. The underscores for init is because that is a predefined name that it is looking for. With roll, this is something we're going to do. And all we're going to do is we are going to roll our dice. So we need to pick a new value between 1 and 6. And so the same thing that was in init, I'm going to have here in my roll method. Finally, I need to get the value of the dice because all I've done is stored it internally. And that's one of the key things about methods inside of a class definition. I want to make sure that each method has its own separate job and does its own separate thing. So I have here def, get value. And in this case, I just need to return my value. So I specify return self.value. That's just the value of my class instance. And that's how I create a very basic class definition inside of Python. We'll look at doing more complicated things in just a little bit.